fun.
Yeah, all right, just remember, I like bling.
Oh, I know you do. What, you have a 69 Corvette there? Sure is. Unbolt the body off the frame and build a whole new chassis, new suspension. We gotta weight this thing up. Oh, I'm caught on something. About 420 horsepower. This thing's a huge improvement. I think it's gonna be cool as hell when it's finished. What did you do to my car?
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
You know, 20-something years ago, I never shop business. It just kind of evolved into what it is, and I definitely never thought I'd have a cool sound like that. I mean, that's impressive.
Now we know where we got to go to work at.
You know, I can't say enough about my team, my guys. You know, we're all a big family. I can't say anything else, but I've been totally blessed.
What do you guys think? Pretty cool, huh? You know, things have been going really good at the shop. This is just a sign of that. I feel like my business is actually legitimized now that you get an actual sign up on the building.
You know, it's crazy to think, growing up on this property, I never, ever thought it would ever become what it is. You know, coming from where I come from, I come to work with a mindset, this can all go away. You know, we gotta stay hungry. We've been super busy, busier than ever. All these builds coming into the shop, every one of them is an opportunity to push our creativity even more. Big John said he might be in the neighborhood today, so he's just stopping by to check on progress.
Hey, Bill, how you doing?
What's happening, John?
Same old, same old. How's everything?
Going good. How's that old milk truck doing?
Wonderful. I mean, it looks great. Runs good.
Good,
Family
man. That's
love.
always good to hear.
Wow.
Things transformed a little bit from when it came in.
It looks totally different.
John's 1950 Ford F5 came in rough shape. It's taken months of work to get it to this point. It's just one of the coolest COEs you can find anywhere. You know, COEs have gotten pretty popular lately in the custom scene. The COE means cab over engine, which the engine sits way back and it has a short snub nose and sits up a little higher than, you know, a regular one-ton truck. As far as the interior, we got the dash all smoothed out. You know, it had a bunch of holes in the dash and a bunch of crap everywhere.
Fantastic.
John's had just about every kind of custom car, and he really is drawn to the COEs because they're totally different. He bought this truck online. Someone grafted another set of front doors onto the back. Then we picked it up from there. New latches on it, new door handles.
It's going to be beautiful.
You know, once we get the front end back on, we'll build you some running boards that tie right back into the bed, bolt right up. You see, we already got the basic shape and style here, but we're going to build a headache rack that goes over it and then molds into the bed also.
All right, just remember, I like bling. You know.
Oh, I know you do. And what color are you thinking on this? I know you have a color preference.
Wife and I, we've been leaning towards an orange.
Just a bright orange?
Bright orange. No, nobody else has a 1950 crew cab like mine. When I see what he's done so far in the mid-build, I'm really getting excited to see the finished product.
And we got a little surprise for you back here. Well, we're going to keep that a surprise, too.
I knew you'd do that. We're there with it. I know Bill's going to do a fantastic job on it. He's got some surprises for me. And he didn't let me down on the milk truck. I don't expect him to let me down on this one. I'm going to let you get after it. See you later. Take care. See you later.
Good to see you, John.
Bye-bye.
Really cool part about having a custom shop is getting to let your creativity shine. When long projects like this, where you're doing body work all day, you're doing metal work all day, I hate it. I'm an instant gratification guy. I want to see progress every day.
We've done a ton of work to this to get to this stage. This is really starting to where it gets fun, but you know, the work isn't over. The work's just starting on a different level. That all is part of the puzzle along the way. Getting to the end of the puzzle is a big Man, no, Big John seemed like he was pretty happy about the bed when he stopped by.
Man, I saw you over here talking. He looked overall happy with the whole truck.
Yeah, he loves it.
Gentlemen, here we are again.
You already know this thing's been here a while. It's been a long road to get this thing to where it was at. You know, it was old rat rod style, just nothing fit, nothing lined up.
50% done?
Just about that. Once it's in this stage, man, I really think we're on the downhill slope for sure. We're going to build a cool custom headache rack to fit the side of the cab to make it fit this truck. I want to incorporate a wood bed on top of this, but not just sitting on top. I want it recessed down into the bed. And I want to bring that wood down on the running boards also.
Man, that'll be a cool touch.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody do that.
Plus, it makes it look like it all goes with the truck. It all ties
Flows through. So, anything else you're thinking?
You know, Big John told me he's got to have the bling, so he wants chrome accents everywhere. Chrome grill, chrome bumpers, chrome mirrors, chrome handles. You know, with a nice bright orange, this thing is going to be really cool and stand out.
You want everything bright, shiny?
Absolutely. Okay. So we definitely... We're going with a Western Holler look. A real clean flatbed with a little something extra. It's time to get John busy on this metal work.
So, man.
Ready to get going on this thing?
Yes, sir.
Now's the fun part. Now we can really start to get creative with this thing and show what we can do.
So I get to have all the fun?
Yeah. What I want to do is incorporate, you know, like bed wood in a flatbed. And I also want you to start building the running boards on this. And I want wood inset in the running boards too. So you can actually use it. You can step on it and not have to worry about messing the paint up. I think bringing the color of the wood as a contrast to the bright orange paint that's going to be on here, this thing is really going to stand out. Be a huge surprise for him.
So we're going to have to use nothing but the finest orange tree wood.
We're leaving it up to you, buddy.
It's time to get to work. So we're going to start making this running board here. So what I'm going to do first is cut me out a piece of square tubing for this outside edge and then start cutting out everything else I need to bolt that to the cab, bolt onto the fender, bolt onto the bed so it's removable. What I want this to do is fit real snug up against here. Just almost perfect, and then hit it with a grinder to make it perfect. This is it. This is going to be the perfect fit. The design we're going with on the running board is going to kind of represent the shape of the bed. We're going to have some nice sharp corners in its design. So once this is all tacked up in place, I'll break these bars off and you'll be able to see what I've created on this outside edge. So the purpose of these marks that I'm making is just a reference of where I need to bend it. I'll hit it on the opposite side of that mark, which will bend it the way that I need it to hug this fender tightly. This fender likes tight hugs, in case you're wondering. Now we gotta poke some holes. Now I got the structure of the running board. I'm gonna throw some ribs in here to connect the outside to the inside where it's gonna be bolted up to the cab and start building the frame for the wood inserts.
What's that?
So, we're gonna have to take a little tamale break. We'll be back to you shortly.
On the bed of this COE, I want the design to flow from the front, seamless wood inlay.
Now I got the running board drawn out. Now I know exactly how to shape the wood inserts that are gonna get cut out on the CNC table. After we cut our blanks out of MDF just to build off of, we use cheap MDF. That way there's no worries if it gets burnt and messed up. We could go back and cut the hardwood out with the same file and it'll be the exact same dimensions. And all we have to do is drop those in for final assembly. Let's see what we got here. Nice. I'm gonna start making all the metal trim that goes around here.
what we're about to do is cut out some 18 gauge sheet metal. And then we're gonna cut down some strips about 1 inch wide, break it right in the middle and make 90-degree angles. And what I'm gonna do is form that to fit around those wood templates that we got. So we can set that into the running board. And what this is gonna be is just a big frame for the wood. This is gonna look really nice.
You know, one of the cool parts about being this busy, we get the chance to really work on some iconic rides. You know, some of them we never even had a chance to work on before. And putting our spin on them for the... Hey, what's happening?
Hey, how you doing? Josh, just driving in from Austin. Nice to meet you, Bill.
Nice to meet you.
Tim. Hey, Tim, nice to meet you.
What do you have, a 69 Corvette there?
Sure is.
Well, let's check it out.
All right.
The 69 Stingray was part of the third generation of Corvettes. At the time, it was the height of American muscle. Man, it's a good-looking car.
Thanks.
And these little Stingrays are always going to be classic. Just the body lines, the way everything looks, they're just an iconic car.
Yeah, I got that ducktail rear end.
They're timeless. Like, you can have them another 50 years and they'll still be in style.
Yeah, this was a classic year.
Josh, what are you seeing, man? You want to change the color on this thing, or?
No, I like the color. I think it's got a pretty good paint job. But being from Austin, you know, just all the hills and stuff, it needs to drive better.
Definitely.
Man, this car is really special to me. I got it from a friend, and, you know, it looks great. The car just stops traffic. If it drove as good as it looks, that would be my dream.
Heck yeah. So keep the original look, just with a lot of performance.
Perfect. That's exactly what I want.
Josh, I think to make this thing really, really cool, handle good, ride good, we just need to unbolt the body off the frame and just start over. Build a whole new chassis, new suspension, and make this thing really exciting to drive.
You can do that?
Hell yeah.
That would be fantastic.
And the side pipe
Look, yeah.
I mean, it looks great, but man, they're a little tired. I think maybe even making these things out of stainless, polish them up, just be a total package then.
Boy, I wasn't really thinking about that when I rolled up, but now that you mention it, man, that just makes the picture perfect.
Josh, what we got under the hood?
Let me show you. You can see it's just a stock 350.
Out of the factory, the 69 Stingray with its fiberglass body and its small block made it top of the line. However, these days we can do a lot better. Man, Josh, with the brand new frame, new suspension, we need something with a lot more power. I'm thinking LS in this thing and really wake it up.
Man, if you're going to do all that, it's going to need a 6-speed in it.
Yeah.
You put a 6-speed in this car being so light, it's just going to be fun to drive.
Man, that'd be a 1-2 punch. Man, this thing, you're going to be able to just get in it, turn the key, and go all the way to California if you want to. All that power in Austin, up and down those hills. Man, am I excited.
And the inside looks good. Just the only thing you need is a stereo in this thing. Something with a nice sound in it.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it wide open to you. I know y'all come up with something.
Josh, if that sounds good, man, let's get this thing unloaded and get going. Let's make it happen.
All right, Bill.
Nice to meet you, Josh.
Thanks, Tim.
Yes, sir.
Some years on it. This thing still has great styling. It looks really good, in great shape. You know, this old vet like this is always going to be just timeless. The body itself it's a work of art. In the 60s, you know, this thing was top of the line. You know, everybody talks about how much power they had, how well it handled. You know, that's all you hear growing up. To today's standards, you know, a family sedan is outperforming this thing right off the assembly line. And, you know, that's sad.
Hey, go ahead and top it off for me when you're done.
This guy. Look good in there, Rudy.
Like my new car?
Whole lot better than them glasses.
What are you talking about? You guys don't know anything about style.
Well, what does have style is a 1969 Corvette, right?
Oh, yeah.
What isn't stylish is the suspension under this thing.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with that.
We gotta wake this thing up. We're gonna start by lifting this thing up, unbolting the chassis, dropping it down, and rolling it out, and starting fresh. We'll get some metal off the shelf and just start building a new frame for this thing. We're hand making a better performance. We gotta be super careful with this fiberglass shell, or it'll create a ton of structural issues. A 20-inch wheel and tire with some meat on the back of this thing.
Something to put the power to the ground.
That's it. New independent front suspension, front and rear. New engine, manual transmission.
We're just gonna rip out everything old on this thing and give it a new extensive style.
That's it. We're gonna keep the body of this thing. I mean, look at it, it's in great shape. I mean, it's showing some wear though.
Yeah.
We're gonna wet sand and buff it and just make it look like it would have looked in 1969.
It's gonna look good.
Well, let's get this thing up on the lift. Let's get going on and get it tore down. Start building this thing. Don't forget your safety glasses.
Man, go ahead and take them off so y'all stop ridiculing me on me. My cool glasses. Put it back, baby. Yo, Tim!
I'm coming. The fiberglass body is already fragile. With this 50-year-old fiberglass body, we got to be super careful.
All right, got it.
When you're tearing apart a chassis on a metal body, no problem. Shape this, hammer that, make it work. Totally different with the fiberglass body. You got to work with what's there. There's no shaping this. There's no reconstructing without causing yourself a whole lot of issues later. With the whole frame, might leave this. That'll hold the radiator in the whole spot and everything.
Yeah. I'll just take this one, wipe it off.
And Rudy, that bolt's never coming out. Between the fiberglass and all these bolts, a lot of people would think twice before tearing this chassis out. However, that's not to say it doesn't need replacing.
Most of these bolts were weathered and rusted together. So if this car would have been metal, it'd probably be rusted through.
What do you think?
Let's find out.
Here, go up.
Whoa!
I'm caught on something.
I have Tim and Rudy pulling out the chassis of the 1969 Stingray so we can build one custom. As usual around here, it's easier said than done.
A lot of these bolts have nuts on the backside of them, which are tucked in behind little small crevices. Oh, right here for the body mount in the back. And if you look in here, there's one more bolt here for the body. I mean, look at that. Once you take that lid off, it come to find out this car used to actually be yellow. The secrets you find tearing these cars apart.
Corvettes, just one thing after another. You never would have thought it had taken this long just to find all the bolts, but we're going to get this body separated here in about 5 minutes.
Ready?
Ready? Keep on. We're good.
All right.
Ready to roll this thing out?
Gladly.
Check it out, Tim.
It looks really good, Rudy.
Make sure it don't hit the ground. Perfect.
One of the first steps in the whole frame building process is finding out where everything goes. We make most of our custom chassis on a table before we install them. You know, there's not a lot of room underneath this fiberglass body, so we got doing something we don't normally do. We're gonna build the chassis right to the body. You know, that way it's gonna fit 100% on the first try. So the first thing's finding center of the fender well for the wheel and spindle.
Okay, we need to go back just a hair.
This way?
Yeah.
There's a lot of adjusting, a lot of tweaking, a lot of moving to find that sweet spot. Man, I like how that looks on this car. Everything is exactly in line, both directions. We know exactly how much room we have to build the frame around. So next step is to get started.
We got some 2x4 tubing. We're gonna run down both sides, connect it across the back, then we'll build the rear subframe off of that.
Go ahead, just plasma it out real quick.
So we're going to plasma out the tubing so the DOM can slide in here. We'll cut a little bigger so we'll have room to play. That's what's going to connect the body to the frame rails.
This will go to the bottom of the car. The bolts will go through and hold it tight.
We drop the frame, we'll weld the tops all the way around. This is going to be our 4-link mount. This is what's going to connect the rear subframe to the main frame of the car. Now the structure of the 4-link mount is made. This is the rear subframe. This will be the main frame. Once the whole frame welded out, this frame's gonna be extra strong and be perfect for what Josh wants to do in the hills of just, and see what he can do.
I bet your favorite teacher was an arts and crafts teacher, huh?
No, not really, because she was old, mean-ass lady. John's made great progress on the F5 COE bed, so now we can move to the headache rack. You know, the truck itself has some great styling, so we're going to emulate that into the style and curves in the back, little headache rack. You know, there's the inside and outside to this thing, so I want to get the inside piece to have the exact same line as the outside. It's super difficult to get in between there and kind of get back and trace, so thinking I'll use just a light and a little shadow right there. We'll have a perfect line to trace, and then it'll match up perfect.
Now we got everything traced out. Now it's time to cut out these metal parts. Since these pieces are so big, you got to kind of plan out where you're going to cut first and where you're going to end until the big pieces fall. And always make sure you wear steel-toe boots when stuff is landing on you. When I first started out welding, when I was young, maybe like 12, 13, my dad told me, I'm getting you a grinder for Christmas. I seen your welds. Damn.
Tack it in, have it right up against it, and then it just naturally curve up. Alright, cool. Get that other piece up here. This thing's really taking shape. I love the flow of it. It fits the truck very well. So the next step is just making a bunch of filler pieces.
And make the final cap at the corner. Not only is this curved this way, but it's also twisted as it curves. So it got me some reference marks drawn out there. And once I connect them from side to side, you'll see how I'm gonna have to force my brakes in this metal to make it roll and kind of twist at the same time. Then take it over to the English wheel, form it a little bit. On the English wheel, the top wheel is flat, and the bottom wheel has a contour to it. And as you roll the metal through here, it kind of shapes the sheet metal to the lower wheel and gives it that radius that the lower wheel has. I mean, sure, you could go put this on us and you want it to be smooth, so this is the best way of doing that. Now we gotta weld this out, but we can't run a consistent bead because it'll generate too much heat, so we gotta move it around. If not, this piece will just deform on you, warp, and it won't look too well.
It's always good to see progress on these big builds. The headache rack and bed are taking shape on this F5 COE. So much to the point, we can plot out where the wood's gonna be. Rich gets this wood laid out.
Yep.
We'll go with all the same spacing that's on the running boards, 2 inch on the outer side, 1.5 inches in the inside, just to give a little style to it.
Yeah.
You don't want to give John something a little different, something nobody's really seen before that shows everyone we don't take a car in just to get it done. We want to build it with passion.
Now we got all the big pieces of floor out. Now I got to notch all the bracing down about 1 inch to accommodate the 3/4 inch hardwood that's going to go in there, plus the bracing that I got to build around it. We don't want these bracing to fill up with water when you're driving in the rain, if you get caught in the rain. So we got to cap it, seal it up, and then once that's done, we can build all the frame for the wood inserts. That's why Daddy gave me a grinder all those years ago. Thanks, Dad.
Because we're building the chassis of the 1969 Corvette directly to the body of the car, we're going to put the motor and trans in place and build everything else around it. Came in, huh?
I did.
2012 Camaro, about 420 horsepower, and this thing's a huge improvement.
Man, 6-speed, the car is so short, low to the ground, and all the new suspension, it's just gonna run, drive like a little go-kart all the time. All we do now is slide it in, get it leveled, and I think we're ready.
We go back a little bit.
Ooh. You hit right there now.
Catching the top a little bit. Hit the back up. Tight. Man, it's a whole lot of power in this car. I'm gonna have a whole bunch of fun with this motor.
You talking about whenever you level it up and get it centered? Good job.
No, man, I'm talking about when I'm driving it.
Our next step is to put a cross member for the chassis that'll hold both sides together and keep the engine in place.
So I just went ahead and drew my center line. That way I know when I match everything up, everything's gonna be nice and straight, center, parallel. Center lines are your best friends.
Level this. We look centered in the wheel well, Rudy?
Yeah. We're attaching our final pieces to connect our front frame section to our actual frame. Normally people would usually just use 2 mounts, but we're gonna go ahead and reinforce it with 3, only because it's a fiberglass body, and so any vibration can start cracking at any point. All we have to do now is make a pipe that's going to connect the bracket to the frame. I like to grab a little small piece of copper tubing because it's easy for me to work the shape out by hand. We want to keep the front end as rigid as possible. We don't want this fiberglass to crack. Once the fiberglass cracks, this thing is whack. So I have my pipes cut out. Now I have to go ahead and bend it to match this angle. And then we'll just throw a little weld on there. Our piece is going to be bending underneath the radiator here.
That looks pretty good, Rudy. Building the chassis to the Corvette body took some extra engineering, but now it's super strong and in the perfect place to build the front suspension off of. Do your thing, weld it out right there.
Cool, let's do it.
We do it with a bare coilover, it's easier just for everything to clear. And a lot of the Pro Touring cars, the high-powered cars that are trying to get into the corners and they can handle real stiff, they're going to these coilovers, which is we're going to do the same on this car. What this is going to do is the spring will hold the car up. If we raise this up, car will raise up an inch. You want to lower the car, it'll allow the spring to collapse the same amount, and the car will actually lower. What the shock does, this just keeps the car solid. If you want a little stiffer ride, you add a little bit more shock. Less, you add a little less shock. So it's a perfect setup for these Pro Touring style cars.
With the front suspension in place, we can fit the C4 differential to the rear. Things looking good, that's perfect placement for this thing. But we're so limited of room underneath here. By the time we get the lower arms on, the spindles on, the 4-link, we want the coilover back up front. So the body here is in the way. And so let's go ahead and cut all this out so we got plenty of room to mock the shock up. And this is one of the last things we got to do to this chassis. Rudy, you be able to ride in style. Put them glasses back on.
Where are your glasses? You go back to my sister.
To leave the classic body, stop. But if we had to cut anything, it'd be these storage boxes that sit behind the seat that folks hardly used anyway. Because we need so much more room for the coilover and a couple extra braces, we're just going to take these boxes completely out of the way, and all the structure of the car is going to stay up in here, so we kept all that. These storage boxes, they can go in and won't hurt nothing at all.
Because we went with a wider wheel and a lot deeper offset, there's a whole lot less real estate underneath the 69 Corvette for the suspension. So we're going to have to modify the C4 suspension that we're putting in this to fit perfect.
Now we have the rear end locked up in place. What we're going to do is put a spindle on the wheel, put the wheel up here in place, and make sure the wheel is centered in the wheel well.
We don't want the wheel too far out, but then obviously it's going to hit the outside of the fender. It's going to either tear up our fiberglass or it's going to start tearing up our tire on our wheel. We definitely don't need that.
Is that where you want it, Rick? Look good? Level, centered in the wheel well?
Yeah.
Now everything's set right where we want it. First thing we're going to do is make the bars that connect the frame to the spindle, which is going to be the 4-link.
Our center pieces for our 4-links, typically they're a little bit longer than this, but with our car being so small and compact, is what we're gonna get. But it's gonna work. So go ahead and tack these up, weld them all out. 4 links will be done. Want to trace the top of this? When you're driving down the road, you want the wheels to be in alignment at all times. So I'm making a camber bar to give the suspension more rigidity. How's that look?
That's good out here.
So moving on, we're gonna go ahead and start installing our coilover.
For the most part, the rear suspension is fitting well, except for the drive shafts that are just too big. Rudy's gonna cut these, use them for mock-up. We'll take them to the drive shaft specialist to have brand new ones made.
And there she goes. Cutting. Woo! Perfect. We're gonna keep this one. We're gonna measure 1 3/4 and cut it out. Cool, there we go. It's the excess we don't need no more, so we'll get rid of that. This is what we need now. Mock it up on the car. That'll be our mock-up drive shaft.
Ooh, this thing looking good. You know, the new frame looks so nice and rigid. This thing is going to be a blast to drive around on the hills and through the curves. So you ready to get it separated? Let's get this thing off the powder coat and really make it shine.
Successfully remove the body from the frame. A whole lot easier than doing it from the factory frame.
The chassis is just getting back from powder coat, so I got Justin making brand new headers and side pipe. It'll give it a meaner, way more custom look.
So we're about to start the build on these headers for the 69 Corvette. It's going to be a side-mounted exhaust with the muffler integrated into it. One of the key things on building a set of custom headers is you need to look and find out which one's going to be your hardest tube to place. In this case right here, it's going to be this front runner. So we're going to start from right here, and we're going to build this tube all the way out to hold our collect until we get the other 3 out. You can see right here, we got a lot of bends and twists on this exhaust system. Reason being is we have a lot of components that we need to try to avoid, like our steering shaft, our motor mount. So we're going to end up doing some 45s or some pretty steep bends to get it to clear. These things are going to be crazy looking when we get done with them. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and get this first tube marked. We're going to go to the table and tack it. Then we're going to start tacking our next tube until we get out to our collector. You know, I mean, it's a lot of cutting, welding, grinding, until you end up with a finished product that you're happy with. What we're using is a 304 stainless material. The material we're using is twice as thick almost as your traditional headers. Stainless is a little bit tougher to cut, so it's a little bit harder on your blades, and the welding process is totally different. I'm using a TIG weld to give it a cleaner, smaller seam than a regular weld, and that's what you're looking for on exposed stainless steel headers. But the finished product is you got a header that'll last forever, it won't rust, and it looks cool as hell when it's finished. Alright, now that we got everything tacked up, we can go ahead and test fit it on the car, make sure everything's good, and then work on our side pipes. We can start from our V-band down, and that's going to be the fun part where we'll get to add the muffler, kind of quieten it down a little bit so it sounds a little bit more street friendly. From here, we're going to go ahead and slide a 3-inch tube in here to come out almost to the end of where our side exit is going to be. What we're going to end up doing is sliding a 4-inch tube over the 3-inch tube, and what that's going to do, it's going to serve as a heat shield to help protect his leg if he ever touches it. After this is welded out and polished, it's just going to look like one straight 4-inch pipe from the collector all the way out to the tip. We'll go ahead and weld these out, repeat the process on the other side, and these pipes will be good to go.
Now that we got this 1969 Corvette to 21st century performance standards, it's time to fix that stereo. So John's gonna make a handmade modern day speaker box.
You know, a Corvette is all about its nice smooth lines and curves. So same thing with the box. We don't want just a square enclosure in here. We're gonna put a little something to it. still make it nice and rugged and durable and usable.
What I'm doing here is I'm just kind of sketching out my shape that I want on the front of this box. This is actually going to be the front side where the seats sit. Once I get the sides cut, the next thing I'll do is actually cut the opening in the top here and let it follow the curve that I put in this side panel here. So basically when I'm kerfing something, I just move my saw blade every 1/4 inch so it leaves enough meat in there to hold together. If you go in too deep, it'll end up breaking off. So you want to make sure you just get the right height set on your blade and just move the fence over and over and over.
Growing up, no really direction of what I want to do. I know I didn't want to go to college. That college wasn't for me.
Sure wasn't for me either. I mean, to be honest, I didn't even finish high school. You know, I got halfway there and I couldn't learn by reading a book or listening to a teacher or anything. The only way I learned was by using my hands.
Yeah.
And my dad, fortunately, had a shop established already, so after school I would go and mess around with stuff. He seen what I could do, and my mom seen what I could do, and they figured I was wasting teachers' time, so...
Yeah, and everybody learns different. You know, for me, it's getting out, making the mistakes, and learning from the mistakes.
Exactly.
You know, that's how I learned doing what we do. That's how you get good at doing what you do, is making those mistakes, and everybody's going to make them, learn from them, go from there, better yourself from that.
Messed up a whole lot of stuff, huh?
Right? Still do. You see a lot of Corvette bodies laying around custom shops totally unfinished. And now we definitely know why. Adding custom suspension and a chassis is a lot of work. To my team's credit, we're almost through the tunnel. Once John's finished installing the custom speaker box, it's time to give this thing back to Josh.
This thing's turned out looking awesome. So all I got left to do now is carry it over, plug it in, set it in the car, and I think he's gonna like it. Oh, squeeze. Thanks, sir.
Already?
Man, like a glove. Might need to wash the car a little bit.
Was definitely a challenge for us, but man, just looking at the stance of this car and just the overall look at it, we definitely all did our job. This thing looks badass.
Deal, Bill. Look at that.
What's happening, man?
Hey,
how you doing,
dude? What did you do to my car? I love it.
What do you think, man?
Man, oh man. You outdid yourself.
Man, you got here just in time. I thought Rudy was going to take off with it.
I would too if I were here.
Me and her had a good emotional connection. So I took really good care of her for you.
Oh, it looks like it. Oh man, this is fantastic. You know, I really like the look of the car, and I didn't really know how it was going to turn out, but now I'm really tickled.
Yeah, working on this car was a complete new experience for us. With it being a fiberglass body, we had to be extra precautious, even just tearing it down.
I mean, it definitely had some challenges. Took out that old engine, took out the old chassis. We just had this thing up on the lift, leveled it all up, and started building the frame piece by piece to the car.
Boy, it ought to drive like a rocket.
Man, absolutely. We know you wanted that C4 suspension on this thing, you know, with the upper and lower aluminum control arms, aluminum spindle. It looks really cool underneath the car, especially with the addition of the coilovers on this thing.
No kidding.
Everything underneath this car is 100% brand new.
Oh, that's what I wanted.
These wheels and tires are a huge upgrade too with the Low Pro, the 20s. That's really going to help the handling of this thing also.
Yeah, they almost look stock.
Yeah.
On the outside, it still looks like a 69 Vet. And then you start looking through the wheels and you start seeing body parts that you know don't go on that car. Yeah. They're super upgraded.
Especially the side pipes on this thing too. The other ones, you know, just were
tired.
you need to upgrade, you definitely got that.
And y'all custom made those?
We had Justin build you a one-off set of headers and side pipes on this thing that really just wake this thing up.
No kidding. Those crazy side pipes and headers are unbelievable. Built by hand, one of a kind. How's it run?
And that old tired 350 in that thing is long gone. You got a new 6.2 in here, has a ton of horsepower. We know you like the manual transmission. You know, I had a 4-speed in it, now it has a 6-speed. So this thing's gonna be fun to drive.
I'll bet. Yeah, you did me a custom shifter too. That's really cool.
You know, with all this extra power, I know you're gonna spend a lot of time in this thing, so we definitely had to upgrade the stereo in this thing. It's got 6-inch full range speakers and 1,000 watts of power.
Wow.
You won't have any trouble hearing this thing.
No, I won't have to sing to myself anymore.
Man, Josh, there's only one way to really see it out.
Thanks, Rudy.
All right, no problem, Josh. You take good care of her now.
I will. Whoa. I love it. I can't say enough about this car. It's just over the top. Thanks, Extensive. Man, you guys blew it out of the park. I knew you could do it.
You know, it's crazy to think how much time we put into the metalwork and the bed of the Ford COE already. And I feel like we're just getting started. This looks good. I know it's a lot of work, man, but this is definitely going to pay off.
Man, John's really going to love this thing when he gets it back.
He can't not. Let's get the panels in here. Shoot, if they all fit good, let's get it off the powder coat. We still have to make the suspension, bedwood, custom interior, and paint. And wouldn't you know it, Big John just called with one more thing he wants to do. Man, this looks real, real good.
Once we get that good wood in here with that paint separating the panels,
yes,
man, it's going to look really, really nice.
Absolutely. It's going to look totally unique, totally set it apart from anything else. We'll forget about all that hard work once. You know, it's part of the whole custom scene. Everybody's always looking to be bigger, better, and one of a kind. And this one,
See families doing that no more.
then you don't. Get rid of everything that's underneath and just start over. And then the fun part, the steering.
Hating myself already for coming up with another one of these ideas.
1966 Cobra replica.
Mr. Rollbar.
For looks and for safety. So it's going to be a little more complicated than I thought. We got to create the structure underneath to hold all this together. This will make it or break it. I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal. None is important to me, but some builds, they just take me back. Hey, what's happening?
Hey, how you doing? Scott. Bill?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
This thing's cool. It's definitely unique.
1965 Ford Falcon.
My dad used to have one similar to that, man. I learned how to drive down this road. And I was sitting up in his lap, and I remember steering this thing and not going anywhere.
Yeah, right. That's about what it is now.
The Falcon was Ford's answer to the VW bus in the 1960s. Unlike the VW, the engine isn't in the back. It's right in between the driver and the passenger seat.
I brought it here to let you work your magic.
Ooh.
I got two little ones and try to take like 3 weeks vacation on the road a year driving around, get out and see the country.
That's really cool. So you need something comfortable, reliable, and safe.
And cool.
And cool.
Getting my daughter and son excited about custom cars and maybe have them riding around in something custom someday. It's a cool thought.
Let's check this thing out.
All right.
Man, this thing's really nice in here, but just not for put your family in and go across the country on.
My wife will not drive cross country in this car with me.
What kind of engine's in this
Wait till
thing?
you see this.
definitely not going to cut it. We might as well give it some power for Dad on the weekends.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. An engine change out is an absolute necessity. It has to be something that, I can actually keep up with traffic these days.
The dash, we'll start over, put new gauges in it. AC.
Be nice to have a little AC.
As far as the running gear, we just need to get rid of everything that's underneath this thing and just start over. New engine, trans, independent front suspension, rack and pinion. Make this thing drive right, because I know it's all over the road right now. Let's check out the rest of this thing. Got plenty of room in it.
A lot of studio space in there.
Yeah. You're wanting something nice, comfortable for the family, for the kids in the back. You want like TVs, iPads, anything like that?
No TVs. Stereo, music would be cool. We got to think about it being unplugged back here. Use the windows as the screens.
I get where Scott's coming from. Totally unplugging, getting out, seeing the road, and letting the family enjoy what's out there. I wish my kids could do that. Let's go make it happen.
Great.
Than rolling up to the rest stop and seeing the exact same vehicle with a different family in it. But Scott's got it figured out. A van for the family and a cool custom van for old Dad. Why get something that everybody else has? Customizing a car, a truck, there's the little restrictions, but when you're customizing a van, there's a lot of room for improvement. There's endless possibilities for something truly custom. Come on in, buddy.
What is this?
Thing's cool, huh?
This thing's real cool.
Scott is going to use this thing to take his family all around the country.
Man, you really don't see families doing that no more, just getting together and hanging out and driving.
Then you don't. So we're going to make something really cool, comfortable, and dependable. Something they can take from state to state to state. This thing's got some miles on it. No motor. It's definitely seen better days. We got to change the power plant. I'm thinking it's a Ford truck, so we got to stick with the Ford engine. Let's go with the EcoBoost and plenty of power. Super sporty. He'll love to drive this. Hey, check this out. Look at this.
Yeah, it needs some suspension work, huh?
It needs a little bit of suspension work. We're going to go through this whole thing, front to back bumper. Nice rack and pinion on this thing, and something that's really stable and tight and fun to drive. Going from that, reconfigure the dash. He wants AC in it, of course. With all this glass in it, It's going to get super hot. This interior, man, has got a ton of room. This is going to take some work, really dialing it in. So Heath and John really got to get creative, use this space wisely, and make it comfortable for the whole family to be in it.
You sure you want to give Heath and J-Lav just free reign to do whatever they want here?
No. There'll be taco sauce all over this thing.
4 disco balls and 15 speakers right here. This is a cool ride, right?
Yeah, it is, man. You check that thing out.
Hey, there's so much room.
Before we cut out any of the old suspension, I asked John and Will to take out the interior so we don't have any fires.
There we go.
All right, you take that. I'll go put these in a bag.
You can never have enough bags. It's so important to label everything, every little section of the vehicle that you're taking apart. And the reason is, when you go to put it back together, you're always questioning, what did this bolt do? And so the better you label now, the more time you'll save later, and the more professional your job will be.
Man, vehicles came a long way since this was made, huh? Mm-hmm. First thing we're going to do on this is just rip out all the suspension, motor, trans, rear end, the whole drivetrain. Let's have a bare van body underneath this thing. We'll start fresh.
Cool. This van's got problems, I got solutions. We just got the leaf springs cut out and the shocks cut off. Go ahead and raise it up and this thing should just fall right out. I'm gonna do the exact same thing to the front. Since we're going to be pulling the transmission and the engine together, I'm going to go ahead and pop our transmission linkage, shifter linkage, all that stuff. Take a couple bolts out on the bottom. Things should come out pretty easy.
Now I got the big factors out of the way. I can come through here and just tear this thing down completely.
Looks good. We're ready to get going on the suspension on this thing. We want this to sit really low, set this thing on the ground with it. We're gonna have to do a notch in the unibody here and build notch plates on this structure. We'll build the notch, we'll get the rear end back in this thing, and we'll start building the 2-link suspension on this. Cool. Make a hole. This whole van is a unibody construction. What that means, there's no full frame underneath this. The frame is actually built into the body, which gives it the strength and rigidity. All this is in the way, so we're going to start by cutting all this out, get our cross member in, and then we'll go back to connecting it all back together as one.
So you see the line, how everything lines up with the top of the frame rail. This is exactly how we want it. Perfect line, straight across. It's going to be level with the top of the frame and the bottom of the frame. Once I get this tacked in, I can cut the bottoms of that off to where they're even with the frame. Now that I got the ends cut off, I'm going to go ahead and make all the pieces to box this in. It's all going to be out of flat bar, same size, same thickness. So I'm going to make everything all at one time. I'm just boxing in the C-notch right now. Just all those pieces I cut out on the iron worker, tacking them in, making sure everything's square and true. And just get this all tacked in, weld it up, then I'll be ready to cut out the center.
We're far off now, Ryan.
Huh?
You never heard Romeo and Juliet, huh?
That was before my time.
You know, this old Ford Falcon van came with a straight front axle. We're going to convert it to an independent front suspension. Ryan finished the notch on the rear end. Now he's making space for the new front suspension and the cross member.
So everything's cut out and the cross member is marked up in there, but you can see the direction that we're going to take this. So I'm going to piece everything back to this center section. Basically just start off with these pieces, make them connect, get the side pieces in there, tack everything together, weld everything out, and then we can move on to building our steering, control arms, and everything else.
You know, when a vehicle rolls up this nice, creativity to focus on the details. Things you might not even realize, we customize. So when we're done, you wouldn't even imagine it any other way. What's happening?
Hello, how you doing?
Hey man, good. Juan, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You got your little Cobra, huh?
Yes, sir.
But this thing looks fun, a little replica.
It is a little replica.
You know, these cars are super cool. Original Cobras, 7 figures. Even the replicas are 6 figures. Real or fake, it's still a pretty cool car. What do you got under the hood?
Let's go ahead and take a look.
Man, a little Chevy big block, huh?
Yes, sir.
I definitely wasn't expecting that.
A lot of people usually don't expect that when they see it. It's a 454, plus it has a 400 turbo transmission.
Well, I already know this thing has plenty of power.
That's one of the reasons why I'm here. I need something for protection, something for safety.
It's got that much power?
It feels that way to me.
I can definitely see a roll bar back here. You know, that's one thing it's definitely lacking. And for looks and for safety.
I like it.
I think to really get the feel of it, to really see what you need, I might need to drive this myself and kind of see how it feels, you know what I mean?
Hop on it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You know, when you're building safety equipment, see what the car feels like.
Sure that when I came in, Bill already knew what I was really looking for. Any excuse to get it out on the open road, hey, it's fine by me.
This thing rides good, handles good, looks good. But I definitely see what you mean. You know, at times it feels kind of squirrely and
safe for sure, just because it has so much power. Yeah, I appreciate you letting me drive this thing, really getting a feel for it. It actually does help with the concept of the styling of the car.
Yeah, that's the only true way to get an understanding and seeing the need for it.
For sure.
So, maybe, yeah, it does need it. That was something, wasn't it?
This thing's fun to drive for sure. We'll take care of it for you, man.
I appreciate it.
Let's go do some paperwork.
Thanks, sir.
You know, when you think roll bar, it's just a straight bar with two bends and comes down in protection. When you're designing a roll bar for such an iconic sports car, that's a totally different subject. That not only safety in mind, but something that's totally stylish, and with every angle you look at it, you want the design of the roll bar to flow with the rest of the car.
Oh, here it is. It's not bad, not bad. What are we gonna do to it?
We're gonna body drop it.
Come on.
No, man. I mean, you see, this thing's missing something.
Missed the roll bar.
You know, this has a big block Chevy in it, runs super good. If he's not paying attention, he's gonna need some extra protection in this thing for sure.
Definitely. That's a good idea.
You've seen the ones with the loop back here, the big bar in the back. We don't want that. We want something that has clean lines with it, something that emulates the front curvature of the glass. So when you're behind this thing, it just matches perfect. And not only from the rear angle or the front angle, from the side too. We want to slope this thing so it all flows together. Once we get it all done, we're going to chrome it too, so it matches front and rear bumpers.
So I understand the idea you want to do. How are we going to angle this down to the frame?
Man, we're just going to put some plates here and bolt it to the fiberglass so it looks cool.
I know better than that.
No. You know, I haven't taken all this apart to really see how to tie it in yet. You know, that's what we need to do next. Strip it out and strip the trunk for a solid foundation.
Okay.
Everything we're going to do is get to it.
Yeah, let's do it. It's kind of crazy. That's what holds the seatbelt on. All right, last piece. All I got left to do is pull this carpet, this padding behind it. Then we'll kind of be ready to start figure out how we're going to put the roll bar in here safe, and then we'll worry about how we're going to style it.
Oh, got it, huh?
Yeah,
How you do that? Man, they're just nothing to tie anything to.
No.
Not only are we going to have to create the roll bar itself, we got to create the structure underneath to hold all this together. So it's going to be a little more complicated than I thought. You can't mount anything to just fiberglass. You got to have a backing support. Perfect. Going to the frame to really make everything super strong and super safe.
All right, man. It's in there.
Then we got our foundation. This is going to be, you know, like the cherry on top of this whole car. Let's get this cut. This will make it or break it. Didn't want to put a roll bar way back here in the back. In my opinion, it looks a total afterthought.
That looks better already.
Right? I want in and flowing, so we had to cut the corner of the body out. It's a real subtle difference. I mean, that's what you want. When this thing is done and finished and painted, you will never know it was ever messed with, because the lines are still going to flow and look like it was originally made like that. We're going to roll this pipe so everything has the same flow. So the same arc for the roll bar as it does for the windshield. So we want something that all plays together. Cool. See, we got our line and our square little box here. So we have 48 inches from here to here, and that's the widest point of the car. So we have to bend this so it fits in this box. Then we know when we take it over to that car, it's gonna fit. This might be a replica of a 1966 Cobra, but it's got a real deal 454 Chevy Big Block. So the roll bar we're making, it has to protect the passengers above all, while also looking like the Cobra should have from the factory. It's got a pretty damn good flow. Maybe a quarter measure all day long, but especially something like this, it's pretty damn close. Everybody's going to be looking at it. They're not going to be measuring it.
couch. You really want to check every angle.
Say that real quick, Jim.
You want to really get back and get a feel for the overall car itself in relation to what you're building to it. That looks real good.
I like it. It looks nice.
Let's tack this sucker on. The next step of this thing to making it one whole unit is connecting the outer plate to the inner plate and making that plate go all the way down to the frame. We have our plates on the frame, so the next thing is making the pipe from plate to plate. So we're going to put the wheel on, drop it down. Let's see where this thing rides at and how much room we have in between the wheel and the bracket. We definitely don't want the tire to rub. That would definitely cause a blowout, and we don't want to test out our roll cage that quickly. Factory engine on a 1965 Ford Falcon only had 85 horsepower. On the plus side, it was fairly compact horsepower. That thing's cool. A little four-cylinder, huh?
Four-cylinder, 2.3 liter twin scroll turbo, 300 plus horsepower.
Man, that is bad.
They're putting these things in the Mustangs, Ford F-150s. Guys at the track are killing it with them.
That's the perfect combination for this little project.
It is.
Watch your ankles. This thing's light enough where we can just manhandle it up in there from the bottom. Scoot it this way a little bit.
Which way? Forward?
I think you might have to get the lube out, buddy.
It's closer, what? Yeah.
How's it looking back there?
That's all I got. I'm touching the floor back here.
Okay, forward.
This side there. Go right there. Good.
Fits in there good. Got to make the doghouse a little wider. I don't know if we need to make it taller or anything. Let's get the rack on this thing and make sure all this is going to work. And then the fun part, the steering. That's looking real good. Got the radiator in, rack mounted.
Looking all right. You see what I'm looking at, though?
Yeah, you know the next thing is coming. And you got the column out here. The wheels are way out here. It's super easy to connect the rack to the steering.
Yeah.
But on this, we're going to have to connect the column all the way back here to the rack.
It might not seem that hard, but out of all the ones that I've done over the years, I've never had to deal with this.
Yeah. Anytime you see it when it's done, you go, oh, that's easy.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's figuring it out and getting it to that point.
Exactly.
Always like a challenge.
Yeah, of course.
Let's drop it down.
All right.
What we're doing right now is just putting the column in its place. So everything needs to be mocked up. You know where everything's at before you can start anything. This is just where the factory alignment was. We put it back in the original spot. So next thing is to lift this thing up and start making the snake. You see how much room we have here is not very much at all. So we got the column as far into the van as possible, but it's still a little too long. Let's cut the end of the column off. All right. And then we're going to drill a hole in it all the way through. All right. We're going to cut you a little piece of the double D. So we use this little knuckle here. But we can start with this once it's at the bottom of the column. Ain't gonna work. I've never used a double knuckle like that before, and man, it's just lining up.
I haven't either.
The main thing you look for when you're figuring out a steering shaft is make sure all the U-joints aren't in a bind. You want it to be smooth, free, and clear, and double knuckle is too many moving parts all at once. There's no stabilization or something like that, so it's just gonna flop all around. So it's one frustration after another, right?
Oh, man, you said it.
Because we changed the 1965 Ford Falcon van to independent front suspension, we knew getting the steering configuration was going to be a lot of trial and error.
What's up, fellas? Look what I got here.
Buddy? Oh,
fresh out the box.
That's what we need. A 90-degree small gearbox. Hopefully, when we turn left, it goes left. When we turn right, It goes right.
If your calculations are correct.
We'll see once we get all this in.
Cool.
That's how I deliver.
Appreciate it, Tom.
See ya.
It's gonna make life a lot easier.
Let's pull the column back. Let's get this in place and slip
As far as I can go up without taking everything apart.
up towards the bump. Not quite that far. All right, that's it. Hold it right there just a second. Cool. Let's make the bracket for this and just continue the snake.
I'm making a bracket for this steering box to hold it exactly where we want it. Just take a couple pieces of cardboard, make your template, get exactly how you want it, and then boom, go over there and make it in no time.
Yeah. Turn to the right. That's exactly what we needed. Problem solved, man.
I love hearing those words.
Man, it works good.
Awesome.
You know, I was super nervous about how we're going to get this to here. Never done that before. It looks simple now, you know, once it's done, but ingenuity behind it, there's a little bit of figuring. Button it up. Let's get it to the body shop.
Cool.
The roll bar is getting chromed on the 1966 Cobra replica. However, there's one thing still bothering me. There's just a hole drilled in. I mean, I don't get it. I can't believe somebody thought that's a good idea and that would be safe. We have to address this. We're going to come up with a way to make a little bracket to tie it into the frame. That way, this thing is safe and secure, and it's a total, complete, safe package.
I'll be really comfortable putting a seatbelt on that now.
It's not just the seat belts, the seats are also bolted to the fiberglass. So we're gonna fix that too with some new brackets.
All right, everything looks good. It's all welded in. Should be nice and safe now.
We're gonna push this thing in for a quick body and paint. And then we're gonna install the freshly chrome roll bar.
I'll hand it to you over the car.
Don't scratch nothing.
Why'd you have to make it so perfect, Jamie?
We got this build as cool as we can make it. It not only looks better, but what's really important, this thing is a lot safer than when it pulled up. That's how I'd want it for my family, for sure. What's up, man?
Good morning, Mr. Bill. How you doing?
Good morning, man. Real good. You ready?
I'm ready as I'm going to be.
I know when you came in, you know, you had a couple issues with that car. The car looked cool, but there was nothing to keep you safe in that thing. We got you definitely hooked up on this.
That's the reason why I came here.
You ready to check it out?
I'm ready.
Jamie, let's get it.
Ooh, look at that. Man, that's exactly what I was looking for. Classy, elegant, and unique. Seeing the car for the first time, it was like, wow, it's Christmas for me again. Woo-wee. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So you're liking it?
I'm liking it.
Safety was your major concern on this. We addressed that for sure. Built something not only safe for you, but stylish. Rolled some pipe, made it the same contour as the windshield, and also the same angle as the windshield. We actually notched out the corners of the body itself to give the roll bar a little more room in between the seat and the body. So everything just flows together.
I didn't even notice until you mentioned it. I mean, it looks like it was that way already.
Right. You know, it's tough to come up with something new on such an iconic car, but as you can see, it's exactly what he wanted. It's all super strong and tied to the frame. You know, while we're underneath the car, we definitely noticed a lot of safety issues underneath this thing.
Blew my mind when I seen this. The seat belts were just drilled through the fiberglass body, just holding in with an anchor and a washer, and that was it.
Man, we couldn't let you roll out like that. You know, all this hard work would have been for nothing if you would have just been ejected out of the car if something would have happened.
You're right about that. I mean, it would have been with this kind of heat, be like scrambled eggs on the sidewalk.
So we went ahead and reinforced it with metal, made everything strong, tied to the frame. Now it's really safe.
That's why I knew that I had to come here. If you would have seen something that was not going to be done right, you're going to handle it and do it right. Safety was my big concern. Now, I can definitely say I feel safe now.
You know, you wouldn't think just a roll bar would give you a different attitude about something. In this case, it definitely does. You feel safer, more confident, and it looks good.
I just want to say thank you to Bill and all his men here at Extensive. They did a phenomenal job. They went ahead and they put a bolt right here, so that way the belt is actually on the frame.
Nice.
Every time I got in the car, I used to be nervous. You don't want to sit on the other side with me? Now I really feel safe. That too. I got the wind in my hair.
We gave the Falcon van a custom air ride, a new steering configuration, and an engine swap. Now the body guys are going to prep the cab for paint. What I don't want it to look like is some 70s peace van, you know, with fluorescent colors or something like that. I do kind of like that. I wanted my first truck kind of that color. It's just fitting to have, you know, the kids have their say-so in the color of the whole truck. I picked a couple of colors because I don't want this van looking cheesy. You don't want a loud, fluorescent, off-the-wall color that next year is going to get old on you. It's a family heirloom. It's going to be passed down to them. So if they pick the wrong color, they're stuck with it no matter what. They picked it. You know, a huge part of the custom world is dads handing down their passion for cars to their kids. That's how we keep this whole thing going. So we just love how Scott's getting it. What's happening?
Hi, Bill. Nice to see you.
I got Heath here. Hi, guys.
Hi, Heath.
You guys ready to pick some colors? He's so shy.
Ready? This is the brown.
No, I don't like the brown.
Okay. There's a green. The green looks cool.
I like the green. Let's see what's next.
Got like a tan, like a goldish tan.
Oh, man.
All right, there we go. All three of them at once.
So vote for my favorite one.
I like green.
Green's your favorite, Cole? What's your favorite?
My favorite is tan.
Your favorite's tan.
All right, Scott. You're the tiebreaker.
Maybe we could do green layers.
So I think it's going to be green.
Green it is. You got it. It's a great choice.
All right, guys. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys. Hey, it was nice to meet y'all.
Nice to meet you. Bye.
Green it is. You know, all honesty, that was the color I was hoping they picked. This green's really going to make the whole thing stand out. With so much space in this van, the sky's the limit. And that's what I asked John to do.
This thing is as big as the sky, so we're going to do a Starlight headliner on it. I'm going to start when I go to put in the fiber optic lights. I'm actually going to be using a needle to poke holes in this, so I need something that's thin enough and easy enough to get through, but yet still strong enough to help hold the form and shape. Hey, look at that. It stayed together. Now that we got the headliner all built, wrapped, and ready to go, the next thing we got to do is we got to install the fiber optic lighting. To do that, I'm going to have to take these fiber optic strands here and I have to poke individual holes for every one of them. I've got 780 of them here. I better get started. I want to try to get this thing done before the real stars come out. There's really no easy way to go about this. It's just going to be time consuming and just got to sit here and do it. You know, it's just going to matter of poking all these holes and running everything through. But the final product will be so worth it. And I think it's really going to have that wow factor.
Rather than using the old windows on that fresh paint, Chad's going to make some new ones by hand.
Okay, what we're doing here is they don't produce a lot of these windows, and it's hard to find one that's in a good shape with no scratches, so we have to make our own. This glass here is actually laminate glass. It's 2 pieces of glass with a piece of lamination cracks and it doesn't shatter. And what I'm doing now is I'm scoring the glass to get through the first layer. Well, the glass is really a delicate material, so what I have to do is I have to get in here and I have to break it through. Now what we're doing is we're taking some denatured alcohol and was softening up the lamination in the center so I could cut through it and get a better finish. There we go. It's time to put it in and see what it looks like. Well, what I'm doing is I'm setting it inside the lip here, and then I gotta tuck the rope on the inside so I can tuck the lip around the pin plug. And we're locking the gasket in. What I'm looking for is making sure there's no imperfections, and the gasket is tucked nice against the vehicle. It's looking good, so it's time to move on to the next one.
After 4 long days of dealing with this and poking all these holes, finally have them all in. As you can see, there's a ton of fiber optics here. What this is basically, that is cast down through the fiber optics, and anywhere that you cut it off at, as you can see, the ends of it will light up. I'm only gonna do this 780 times. About halfway there. 780. All right, let's see what this thing looks like. It's looking stellar, you could say. Kids should love it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be like camping out at night.
Yeah, just riding along, looking at the stars. All we got left to do now is get this thing installed in the van and get all the trim work in around it.
You know, it's pretty cool. I think back of all the days growing up with my dad, working with my dad. He loved welding and fabricating, you know, and taught me that skill set. And I applied that to the car aspect.
Totally opposite.
Totally opposite for you. Your dad
was everything into it, but not a welder, fabricator, nothing like that.
Me and him are a lot alike. My dad's all in the cars. I would have rather been in the shop with my dad getting dirty rather than sitting at home on the couch.
You know, they inspired us and footprint on our children.
Mm-hmm. Dude, my kid is 4 next month, and he's really taking a liking to all this stuff. It'll be really cool, you know, to see him kind of follow my footsteps.
That's it. Keep it going.
Keep it going, man.
The most important part is showing your kids your passion for something.
Yeah, just gives them a little want to, you know what I mean? You gotta have that want to. If you don't care to do anything, you're never gonna be good at anything.
Thanks, Dad. You know, the Starry Night headliner is definitely one-of-a-kind touch, and it just adds all the customization that we've already done to that 65 Ford Falcon van.
That's pretty crooked board. When I finished up the Starlight headliner in the van, I thought I was done poking holes, but as I sat there, I thought about a way we can incorporate the starlights into the seats as well. I think I'm hating myself already for coming up with another one of these ideas and these fiber optics, but it'll be worth it in the end. Got this Peruvian walnut all carved out and ready to go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a hand router and create the pocket inside of it. You know, with this thing being handmade, it really looks like it belongs in a 1965 Ford Falcon van. You know, back then, there were still a lot of the cars that were handmade. Now I have to drill 200 holes to run my fiber optics through. I was talking about how I thought I'd learned my lesson on the first go-around with these things, but no. Just going to trim these back. Yeah, I think it's going to be a really cool effect having them in the seats. Kind of seamless all the way from the ceiling into the seats. That's something I've never seen before. So next thing I got to do is pour the epoxy. I want it to match the seats. So I got some dye mixed up to match the leather in the van. I'm going to take my epoxy and get it mixed up. We'll get the color in it, and we'll pour this in there and let it dry. The trick here is to make sure to not overfill it, so just kind of evenly distributing it. You definitely don't want it running out all over the place, so. All right, now that I got the seats all covered and everything, the next thing I got to do is just get the nerve up and cut this thing open. Oh, it's a sickening feeling. It'll so be worth it. Just got to remember that. It'll be worth it. once I get this all glued in here, then we'll get the emblem in it.
Man, this looks good, dude.
Yeah, man, I think it turned out real nice.
And they're gonna love it, dude.
Well worth it, you know. I can't wait to get it to the kids and let them see this thing.
Scott and his family have been waiting a long time for this van, and I know they're ready to get it back. Scott's a really busy guy running his construction company up in Chicago, so we're gonna ship this van straight up to him. Since this is a family van, I thought I'd ask my kids just to get their take on it, see if it's cool. You guys ready to go home?
Yeah.
Yeah. Been working hard today?
Yeah.
Hey, before we go, I want you to check out something. We just built a van for a customer in Chicago. We got to ship this thing back. But before we do, I want your guys' opinion on this, see how good we did.
Okay, let's go check it out.
You want to see it? Yeah, let's go do it. Come on. Come on. So I want your guys' honest opinion, okay?
Okay.
Not just because I'm your dad. I want you to really tell me what you think, okay? Yes, sir.
We've seen a lot of like what our dad does around here. He just never really asks for our opinions.
This must be like a pretty special one. John's bringing this thing out right now. It's going to be here any second. You know, the moment of truth, I hope they like this.
Really cool.
The green makes it so good. You know, when this van came in, it was in decent shape, but it wasn't in this good a shape. We had to rip out all the old suspension, and we put brand new air suspension on this thing with rack and pinion steering. It drives like a modern car should. The way it sits, like really, really, really low to the ground, so cool, right? Yeah. It gives a new little attitude. You know, we spent a lot of time on the suspension and steering on this van, but you know, the kids would never know that. That's all they want to see is just this thing go down the ground and get really low. And the old engine just wasn't cutting it either, so we got a brand new 4-cylinder turbocharged in this thing.
That's cool.
That's why you hear that nice little blow-off valve when it comes up. It goes, and it's got plenty power. Of course, we had to have upgraded brakes, big wheels, freshened up all the paint, and all new chrome. And I really like the color. I think it makes the van pretty unique. His kids picked that color out.
They have good taste.
Yeah.
You know, I spent a lot of time on this interior thinking about my kids, his kids, me personally. I love it, but I can't wait to see what you guys think about it. You want to check it out?
Yeah.
Check this out.
That is very
I like the lights.
The stars make that so nice.
John's got a lot of time in this thing.
I spent at least a week poking holes and running lights. By the end of it, I was done with it.
Right.
It looks worth it.
It was well worth it. I'm very happy with it.
That being in this van made it 10 times cooler.
That's stuff we don't see every day in a van. You guys get in there and check it out.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
They're really comfortable.
Right?
Yeah. I love how many windows there are.
The lights look better up close, too. You know, you guys are so busy looking up there, you didn't even notice there's no TVs and no screens anywhere in here, right? The whole point of this is family time.
Yeah.
Just being focused on family and the trip and spending time together and not on your phones or, you know, watching a video.
I think these guys' kids are definitely going to enjoy having lots of fun adventures and trips in this van.
I'm already jealous that they get to take a ride in that.
This is my favorite car that you have built.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess we did pretty good, John.
That's why you gotta make us one.
John did most of the work.
I got my kids' seal of approval, so I know Scott's kids are definitely going to love this van. You know, look at the overall van, the interior. Man, I love this little van. And Scott, I can't wait for you to take your family on the road and really hear about those trips you're going to take together. If you're ever road tripping through.
You're actually making something that no one else is making. No one else will make it.
I cannot wait to see this.
What is this, man? This thing's huge. You know, it's a 1996 International 4700. You want to fix up a dump truck? Huh? This truck is the biggest and heaviest that we've done to date.
Everything on this thing was just pie cut and welded together.
This is way above par.
That's mine? Wow.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
As you can see, we're really busy around here. The parking lot's always full. Each times, starts and finishes really quick. Sometimes, a vehicle comes in and it gets put on pause. Life happens, right? So you just want to finish that thing. You want to get it out the door, but, sometimes it doesn't happen like that. It eats at me for sure. Everybody sees it. Why is that there? What's going on with that? Eventually that thing will come back around. You get it going again. You finally get that thing finished. It's a definite sense of accomplishment. Me and Sean go way back since high school. We did a body drop back in '95 on his Chevy S10. Sean's been waiting to do another build for a while, and I think I finally have the right project for him.
This it? All right.
The owner is just way too overwhelmed with this truck, so it's a perfect opportunity for Sean to buy it and take it over.
Man, I've always liked a unibody ever since I seen the one y'all built years ago.
Yeah, they're super rare. This is something, you see these body styles a lot, but nothing like that. It's unique. Most of this truck is a 1968 Chevy C10, but with a little twist. It's a 68 Chevy Caddy. We built a whole new frame, front to back, that's already built. There's new doors, new fenders. There's a late model 5.3 in it, 24x10s, 24-15s in the back with a 9-inch in it that's already been narrowed. The old dash has been cut out and a 56 Chevy dash put in it. This thing is a perfect start for you because you can put your own personal touch on it, with the right colors, right wheels, tires, and getting this thing running. It'd be a cool project.
I like the fact that there's a lot of stuff started on it, but I'm going to be able to finish it my way, the way I want to do it.
I know how you like to color match.
Well, you got to keep my shirt and shoes matching, keep it fresh.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So we can bring a little bit of color inside the interior, match the chassis color, and have a little contrast with the body color.
Yeah, I like that.
I see Sean liking this thing. Hopefully he can see, past all the work that had to be done and just see the vision for this project. On the back of this thing, I think something that would be really cool to really set this thing apart even more would be building an aluminum bed cover on this. It just continues that smoothness all the way down from the front bumper all the way to the back.
Keep it real clean.
Exactly.
First time I saw Bill, first day of my freshman year of high school, he pulled up in his long bed, lowered, square body Chevy truck. I was like, man, I don't know who that is, but we got to get in with him. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Everybody that has a car shop, automotive repair shop, custom shop, there's always a project or two that's sitting around back that just doesn't quite get finished. This one's no different. Project like this, they snowball into dreaming big. And when you dream big, sometimes your pocketbook can't hang with the dreams. You come in for one thing, next thing you know, you're building a chassis for it, changing the motor, and totally stripping it down to where you're at. This is a prime example for that. Digging it out of the back and getting going on it, man. I've got high hopes for it.
So the rumor's true?
You got it, man. My boy Sean's taking it over.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going to dig this thing out and get this thing going and finish it up. New owner, new plan. A normal C10 truck has the body and then the bed totally separated. We made this thing a unibody. We welded bed sides right to the cab, a custom tailgate skin, smooth bed floor, a 56 Chevy dash, and a 68 front end. We got a lot of work to be done. Just from the front of this thing, getting the grill, all the sheet metal back on this thing and seeing what we have, what we still need to get. New glass all the way around, flush mount, something that looks really nice. So you already know Sean's style. Every time he comes in, he's got to have the shirt and shoes matching,
So we're going to paint it yellow
yellow wheels with green trim on it. Typically his favorite colors.
You know, Sean's got to coordinate, so interior is going to match the engine, chassis, you know, make everything color coordinate, which leads to the bed, which me and you, buddy, are going to build a bed cover for this thing out of aluminum, you know, flush with the top of the bed, something that just makes this thing slick all the way from the front to the back.
I mean, it's crazy to think you unibodied this thing 7 years ago.
It's been a minute.
7-year build.
This thing has a ton of work and a ton of memories in it. You know, we got a huge head start. We still have a lot of challenges in front of us for sure. Me and you start doing the bed cover in the back.
I want to see where we get the head start from.
The custom bed cover we're making is going to sit flush with the top of the bed, but it's also going to open and close. So I had Jesse make some cool custom hinges.
Did all right.
He did good, man. I know this thing's a pain in the butt to make, man. It takes forever. Rudy, the first thing we need to do is make a brace from side to side that holds the hinges. All we have to do is weld it in place and start building our bed cover.
All right, so the first thing I got to do is cut down my 1.5 square tubing to fit inside the bed. Then we'll go ahead and start making our modifications inside the square tubing so we can fit our new bed cover hinges. Got my tabs tacked in. Looks like it's going to be right where we need it. Our hinge is giving us enough lift and enough articulation, so this thing is ready to go.
Man, this is exactly what we needed, Rudy. This metal work that's already was here is a little inconsistent. That'll create a lot of body work later, so why don't we just cap it with a piece of sheet metal to go from this edge all the way over and then down and have a little lip out here. Then it'll be laser straight all the way around this thing. Then we'll have a nice bed for the bed cover to sit right onto. We'll just cut this sucker here. This is going to make for a lot faster installation, and you know, there's little ways to make things easier. You learn as you go, you know, all the little tricks of the trade. And one thing we learned is not just tacking, looking down it, stepping back and maneuvering. Use a straight edge. So we're clamping a straight edge. We know it's straight both ways, this way and that way. There's no second guess. There's no wondering if it's right. You know exactly. You can just tack down it, keep rolling, go to the next step. And this is just one little trick of the trade.
So before we slap our aluminum sheet metal on top, we need to build a frame for this thing. We don't want the sheet metal going all wonky on us when we're opening it up. So that's why we place these ribs across so we can use it to simulate the bottom of the sheet metal. So all I have to do is just mark it, take the hinge off, trim it, come back and put it on, and get my actual frame piece, and tack them up, and then we'll move on from there. Got my hinges marked up, so all we're gonna do now is take them off, go ahead and trim them up. I left enough room on the bottom and back side of the hinge so we get enough weld on there, give us enough strength to hold this bed cover. Alright, we'll get our top rib here to simulate our aluminum sheet metal. Push the hinges all the way up, make full contact with them.
That's good, Rudy. Very, very good. This is the most critical stage of making everything right. That way the gaps stay perfect, everything stays the same all the way around, and you don't damage paint when it goes up and down 20 times. So it should be closed, and we'll open that sucker up. Works good. I mean, just to this point is a ton of work that nobody's ever gonna know, but if this isn't right, that affects everything else. So now the rest is just work. You know, just like any part of a project, you got to have a plan. And our plan on this is building from the inside out. So we need to build all the framework first, make sure all the kinks are worked out before we put the final little skin on the top of it. Welding out the bed cover frame on the C10 unibody. You know, to make sure this thing has plenty of room to close, we're going to shave off the top of the wheel tubs.
All right, so now we got our bed cover mocked up. Everything fits nice and good. The only issue we're seeing is there isn't that much clearance between the bed cover and the wheel well. So what we're gonna do here, fill it back in nice and flat, and that's gonna give us plenty of clearance between the wheel well and the bed cover. I got my lines drawn out of how much I want to cut off. I'm anticipating that this 4-inch cut off the top of this round wheel well, probably gonna take it down about a 1/4 inch. Next step is make my nice flat pieces out of 16 gauge sheet metal. I'm just trying to straighten out my panels here because obviously we went from a curved edge to what's now going to be a straight edge. So I just want to make sure and get my sheet metal nice and flat, so whenever I put my flat piece in, we get a good, nice transition from curved to flat. So as I'm tacking my filler piece in, I'm using these super strong magnets. This helps me make a nice flat top as I'm applying pressure to my filler piece to my round fender well. All I have to do is fully weld it all out, grind it smooth, and this baby's all done. Let's see how much clearance we got. So this would be the bottom of our aluminum. Looks all good. So now, I'm gonna go ahead and throw the frame on there, skin it with the aluminum.
When you've been building custom trucks as long as I have, you kind of get in the habit of saying this is going to be a big build. There are big builds and there's just huge builds. And yeah, there's a difference. Today I'm out here at Ocean Corp to see my boy John Wood. What's happening, John?
Oh, hey, Bill, how are you?
You know, John runs a training school for underwater welders and commercial divers.
Hey, man, how you doing?
What's happening, man? Yeah.
Good to see you, man.
What is this, man? This thing's huge. Where'd you get this thing at?
I bought it from Florida Highway Department. It was an asphalt truck.
You want to fix up a dump truck?
Huh?
Man. You know, it's a 1996 International 4700. You know, that's usually used for hauling, commercial applications, or even as a dump truck. You know, I can say for sure we never customize one of these. For starters, I don't even think we have a lift big enough for this.
I just liked the look of it. I thought this is kind of like the world's first jumbo pickup truck.
We got an old highway department dump truck that you want to make cool.
Yes, sir. That's it. Something
yeah, that's
cool.
all.
Yeah, that's it. That's no lift for you. You can do anything. I got the inspiration. I wanted a big, kind of funny monster military high water vehicle, and I liked the shape of the crew cab on this truck.
What are you going to use this thing for?
Marketing for the company. I want to be able to skid mount diving stuff or NDT stuff somebody can do with a little creativity with a fun truck. And it'll be a toy, too. I mean, you can't minimize the toy value.
Right, right. Man, let's check out the back of this thing.
Check this thing out.
Yeah, this got to go.
Yeah.
Just take this whole dump bed off and just start fresh.
Right.
Shorten the wheelbase, put some air suspension on it, make you a nice new bed, something you can take on and off, you know, easily.
Can't forget the cool factor, though. It's got to be cool.
Well, for sure.
I'd like the dump truck to attract attention. I want it to be cool above all. It's got to be flashy and fun and interesting and different. It's got to be different.
What's in the inside of this thing?
Oh, that's a different story.
Man, there's a whole lot of ugly and yellow.
Yeah.
Man, John, once you pull up in this thing, it's going to draw a crowd immediately. When you open the door on this,
no, you
can't have this.
Can't have that.
We got to start off by, you know, covering these seats, putting some carpet in this thing, make it look a lot better. I mean, something you can show off. What's under the hood?
Big diesel. What more do you want?
Shoot, how many miles on this thing?
120,000. So that's not
Ain't
bad.
even broke in yet.
No.
This is a turbocharged 444E. It's a million miles. Maybe get rid of the water hose and the electrical tape.
I kind of like that electric tape hanger. That's kind of nice, yeah.
Look at the front of this thing.
I take it you're not digging on my school bus yellow.
Man, we got to get rid of this.
No bueno.
No. You thinking of any colors or anything you want to see on this?
Whatever you think is going to pop and be interesting and fun and exciting.
So you're trusting me on this one?
Pretty much.
I'll come up with something cool. For sure, man.
Yeah.
For sure. Man, this is going to be a fun little project, man. The only thing is, this thing isn't going to fit on my record.
No.
I guess I'll see you at the shop. Huh?
You want me to sneak it over there?
Extensive has worked on a ton of vehicles over the years. others like Kodiaks, F-650s, a lot of big vehicles, but this truck is the biggest and heaviest that we've done to date. Dealing with the size and weight of this vehicle adds to the challenge of the whole overall build. One of the first things you do before you even get started tearing anything apart is just taking into consideration the jacks you have to use, the jack stands, the impacts that you use on a vehicle this heavy. Not to mention, picking the right suspension, building a 4-link heavy enough, the lift high enough and sturdy enough to hold. I think I'm absolutely crazy. They already do anyway. This is probably going to prove it.
What in the world we got here now? Ain't no telling. We gotta climb up this thing? Why do we have a dump truck?
This old Mr. Wood's new project, unique guy. Want something unique?
True John Wood fashion. He's always had some crazy idea of what he wanted.
Well, that's the problem. We got a dump truck, but he doesn't want a dump truck. Oh, Mr. Wood wants something just to go anywhere, do anything, all-purpose, militaristic, cool-looking truck. First thing we'll do is dump the dump bed. It's got an extra long wheelbase. We're going to shorten the wheelbase, bring it down to a 60-inch cabbed axle, and put a stake bed on it. We definitely got to upgrade the suspension on this thing, give it a nice look. Just get the stance right with the militaristic wheels and tires, helper bags on the back so he can still haul whatever he wants to haul. Get the mechanics right underneath the hood. Somebody had some creative fixes underneath the hood, make sure all that's right and do something with the interior. There's a whole lot of ugly inside this thing right here.
That reminds me of my old high school bus.
I bet it smells like a high school bus too.
I've been trying to forget that smell for years.
Let's get this thing in front of the shop. Let's get it all tore down. Just get this thing as light. As is, the International weighs well north of 10,000 pounds, which is past the top capacity of our lift. So I'm going to have little one cut off the bed and boxes, and hopefully it'll get us right under.
We're about to cut off this dump truck bed with a torch. It's too much thick plate, too many old bolts. It's better to just get rid of it with some nice fire. It's a good thing we got forklifts so we can get the bed up and we can see exactly what we gotta cut. Yeah, I gotta get that pin out to release the hydraulic cylinder and get this damn bed off. Free at last.
When we pull the bed off most trucks, we can just manually lift it. But we got to get creative to lift this bed and just lift it safely.
Took 2 forklifts, a little bit of fire, and some help. We got the dump bed off. Now it's time to get these boxes off. I like to live life on the edge. Stripped away from the truck. Now we gotta see what this thing weighs.
This lift is rated for a maximum 10,000 pounds. So we're gonna take the extra precaution of have this thing weighed so we know exactly what we're working with before we even put it on the lift. And if it's still too heavy, we're gonna have to go back to the cutting board. Anytime you take on a model vehicle that you've never worked with before, especially the size of this International dump truck, is going to create all new challenges for us. What that means in reality, we got to do a lot of setup work before we even start to build.
Got some bad news.
10,020.
Yeah, we're 20 over.
But you weighed it with you in there, right?
Right.
So you weigh about 120, something like that. So
I guess so.
100 pounds under.
We're good to go then.
Our lift's rated for 10,000 pounds. We got 9,920 pound truck. So we're about to put it to the test and see if it's really rated for what that sticker says right now. 15 inches.
Fitting?
Fitting.
Fitting?
Pushing and pulling on it, its weight can shift, especially with something this size. It can get really dangerous really quick. So we're welding 15-inch extensions from the frame directly to the lift, so this thing won't move anywhere.
I need a favor, amigo. Oh, I need it water like that.
You know, with a build this big, you have to build parts to be able to build the parts to be able to build it big.
Vayas con Dios.
So just like life, everything has to be in balance. The ideal spot for the extensions to go is where the lift is centered to the cab, so the weight of the engine doesn't rock forward and the weight of the rear doesn't rock back.
All right, moment of truth finally. We're gonna get this thing in the air. It's 10,000 pounds, 10,000 pound lift. We should be good. I'm gonna double check the front. I'm a little nervous. I gotta make sure that everything's good before I go up in the air and 10,000 pounds over me. I'll get crushed like a little L1 pancake. That's good. I'll work comfortable right there. There's a lot of weight up here. Everything we do from here on out has to be very particular so that we make sure we don't go too much overweight or overweight at all. It's hard. One tiny mistake and we're gonna have a huge problem.
We made the bed cover hinges, frame, and skin for the 68 unibody. Now Rudy and I can install the struts. Think that's gonna work, man? Cool, it ought to get plenty of height. I know they're gonna be strong enough. Oh yeah. You look like you're skiing right there.
All right, guys.
All right. All right, man. Thank you, man. Good work, Jesse. It's good, man. Thank you.
All right, man. See you guys' hands now.
Let's see if them shocks work. Man, looks good, man. There's plenty of room. Backpack, cooler.
Tote full of shoes. He'll be happy about that.
Yeah, his whole lineup of shoes. That'll work good, man. Well, you know, last thing, getting the skin on. Once the skin's on, that's it. You know, the old truck's been sitting around the shop for a couple of years. You know, it's really good to get it back out, get it going again, get this thing finished up. I mean, it's going to be a really cool truck once it's all done. For support off and start screwing the metal down. There's nothing to hold the frame perfectly flat. So we're just putting a couple of little spacers in here. So then when we put our sheet on it, we can put pressure drilling down, and it's not going to push our frame down, leave it sagging down like that.
Man, for once, it's starting to look like a complete truck, huh?
Yeah, looking good, man. We pre-marked where the bottom framework is, so we're just marking so we know where the center of the frame is on the sheet. So we're going to pre-drill the sheet, run tech screws in it so everything fits nice and tight. And then we can pull the whole thing off, and then we can get Jesse to TIG it to the framework so it's one complete bed cover then. This thing will be ready for body work. You know, Chevy never made a C10 truck with a cab welded to the bed. You know, it took a lot of work getting here, but to make all those lines look right, it's going to take a lot of body work. And with everything we got going on at the shop, we're going to need some help. We're going to need some help bad. Man,
what's up, dog? Good to see you.
You know, it's not every day you can just pick up the phone and call one of the best body and paint guys around. And him just get in his truck and trailer is a true friend. Man, you saved me once again, man.
Hey,
I mean, I know Tennessee isn't right around the corner.
Man, it was right down the street, you know what I mean? 12 hours around the corner, but we got it. You know what I mean? What y'all doing with this one this time?
I just want to start totally fresh with this thing.
Bare metal up.
Blast it, spray it, make the gaps right. Make this thing look good. Make us look good.
You got it, man. That's what we do.
Thank you. You know, Zane's going to give this truck a lot of attention at his shop and then bring it right back to us.
This is a tremendous amount of work. This thing's been here since I first started hanging out. And it's just sat outside and been neglected for all these years. You know, I mean, it's super cool to see it finally getting, you know, the love that it deserves. I'm just going to hammer down, drive through the night, and get back home so we can get going on this thing first thing Monday morning.
The C10 unibody is getting bodyworked by Zane. John's going to create a seamless look on the inside of the cab with a handmade speaker box.
With it being a unibody truck, we're going to take the subwoofer box and actually build it into the truck and mold it in so there's no seams or anything. It'll all be part of the truck and we'll wrap it all as one piece. We'll do some router work. We're gonna make some trim rings, some base plates, stack this thing up, give it some depth, some contour, work it in so it's not just a mud work. The important thing here is to lay it as smooth as you possibly can so you don't have to sand as much. It's probably one of my least favorite things to do, but one of the things that I have to do the most. What we'll do now is we'll just take that, let that round dry, and then we'll finish out the other side and it should come out pretty easy.
We put a lot of different truck components together to make this C10 unibody. So all the bodywork has to be on point to make this thing perfect. Our guys in Dunlap, Tennessee are doing just that.
Pretty big day at the shop. Tons of bodywork going into this thing. We had the truck all blasted down to bare metal. The guys built the bed cover from scratch. Very nice stuff. So what we're gonna do now is just perfect what they had already started. So what we're doing now is taping off the jam to get the bed cover to meet the bed sides. It's a little low in a couple of spots that a little light filler will take care of. Don't be afraid to use tape. Using tape doesn't make you not cool. It makes you smart because you're not having to create more work for yourself taking all this Bondo out of these jams that are already straight. It's not broke, so don't fix it. Wiping a panel this big, you've got to do it in sections just so you can concentrate on over here instead of all of this all at once. So we're going to move into, when you look across the top of it, it just looks like it just came that way. We round all of our edges off. Paint won't stick to a hard, sharp edge. So we'll come in there and make sure we keep those round. We got pretty much the majority of the bed cover bodywork, so we're going to use this little gap checker here. This is going to tell us how big the gap is and make sure that it's straight all the way down. We've got a 4 all the way down. So this tells us that the bed cover is evenly gapped all the way down the bedside. This beats eyeball and this takes all the guessing game out of it. Spend you a couple bucks, get you one of these to make sure that your gaps are perfect. So now what we're gonna do is get it off of the truck, do a little bit of final sand in there, pick it apart, make sure we didn't miss nothing and get this thing in primer.
Because this frame on the International dump truck is so long, we can't even close the bay door. It just sticks out. So for now, Little One's going to relocate the axle and make a rough cut to the frame. We'll finalize the length of the frame, then we'll cap it.
Because we got to move the rear axle forward, we got to take apart the whole leaf springs, back half of the drive shaft, all these hydraulic hoses, wiring. Once it's all done, we'll be able to close the door and get our shoulder wheel. We're going to slide the whole assembly together. Much better. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You got a big truck, short wheelbase. That's cool as hell.
Yo!
What's happening, man? You doing good?
Man, I'm doing good. How's things down there?
Couldn't be better.
Hey, it's color time.
You got it. Sean wants his C10 unibody to be painted white. A white truck is difficult to really stand out from a crowd. So I asked Zane to come up with something really special for this white and put a little something extra in the mix.
I'm gonna go to work.
Thank you.
Days like today, we're really excited to get to do something different. There's so many colors out there that it's hard to stand out and be different. It's something else, man. It's gonna blow them away.
This is Lumicoat. What it does is it is crushed mirrors. It reflects the light in low light conditions so you can see it more clearly.
So when the light hits this at nighttime, it's just gonna glow like the emergency stickers and stuff.
Like a street light. In the daylight, they'll knock your eyes out.
At nighttime, this will knock your eyes out.
It will.
This is pretty nasty, you know what I mean?
It's pretty cool.
I'm freaking pumped, man. Let's get this thing painted. Yeah, I've been doing this a long time, so it's like fun to be impressed by something. Nothing wows us anymore. It's usually the same stuff, different day. I cannot wait to see this.
It's been a little over a month since Zane started working on the C10. And today's the day he's bringing it back. And I get to see this thing in person.
What it do?
What's happening? I really appreciate you taking this on, man.
I love my away games at your place, but we got to do this one at home, and I think we knocked it out of the park.
Man, I'm ready to check this thing out.
Let's open it up.
Man. Woo. Turn right a little bit. Turn left a little bit. There you go. looks better than good. Looks like it's been dipped.
This is the brightest white that we could have possibly put on it with little crushed mirror flakes in it. I mean, this thing just dances in the sunlight.
Sean can't not like this thing.
And if Sean don't like it, call me. I'll be the first one to buy it.
All right, I know you're ready to get back.
I'm out of here.
We got a lot to do to it now, too. It's been a few years since we built the custom chassis and suspension for this truck. We're going to pull it all apart and powder coat it a dark red to contrast this white. Everything still looks good. A couple little things we'll change up and freshen up and make it just like brand new, but this thing's gonna start coming together here real soon. While the frame's at the powder coat, he's working on some custom kick panels.
You know, there's a lot of different ways we can go with these kick panels, but the main thing is that we make sure the design kind of flows with the rest of the truck. We have the carpet that's going to be on the bottom of our doors, so we want to continue that into here and then make a cool little shape that's going to kind of match the rest of the vehicle that's going to hold our speakers. Now we rough cut that, set up the router and go to that. Puzzle, man. So we kind of set it up. We got our base, we got our baffle for our speakers, and we got our trim ring that goes up here. The speaker's actually going to mount from the rear in there just like that. So we can build this whole thing on the table. We'll fill in this back area right around. Slightly score this on the back side, allow it to bend without. All right, we got it all wrapped around with our panel board here. Now all we got to do is get it all mudded up, wrap it, and we're done with these kicks.
Since I'm actually going to take this box and mold it in and make it part of the truck, what we're going to do is take this, make it solid one piece, get this screwed into place, and then we'll come in with some panel board and start molding this thing in. We're going to actually wrap the whole back of the truck with the box and all at one time, so there's no seam. Just kind of follow along with the idea of the unibody. So now we'll just start making pieces to get the sides filled in. So what I'll do is I'll use some chipboard. There'll be no separation from the body to the box all the way around to the back of this truck, so that'll look pretty cool. When I look at a space that I'm trying to design out and figure out what's going on with it, just kind of keep in mind the body lines, the style cues, and things like that from the vehicle, and just kind of incorporate that into what you're building, and just let it kind of flow through and just create something, because you're actually making something that no one else is making. No one else will make it. It's one of a kind. You're just putting your own spin and your own thoughts of these things, so there's really no wrong way to go about it as long as you get to the final product that you're after.
The frame and suspension are back from powder coat on the C10 unibody. Man, this thing looks even better than I thought it would. You know, with an all-white truck, it's really, really important to pick an accent color that's really going to stand out. We definitely achieved that. I mean, this is way above par. I mean, this red is actually a couple of colors in one. It's got a chrome base over a transparent red, and it really, really, really looks good.
We hand-built this frame years ago. Now, to get all the components on the chassis and watch it go up and down with the motor on it, something I didn't think I was going to see. This was just a stock piece of 2x3, 2x4. Everything on this thing was just pie cut and welded together, and it just gives you a great pride knowing that it's rolling down the road 80, 90 miles an hour, carrying somebody's family next to you, and it's just rolled real good. Now we have the mock-up wheels on. We have a complete rolling chassis.
What do you think, buddy? Does it look good?
After so many years of waiting, I can't tell you how satisfying it is to see this truck finally coming together. Mount glass, custom wheels and tires, and finally it's time to give this thing a new home.
When I first started welding, I had a friend
called me. They said, hey man, you want to come weld? And from there, I began MIG welding carbon steel, then moved up from there to MIG welding aluminum, then from MIG welding aluminum to TIG welding aluminum, just worked my way up. I grew up here in Houston, just right down here from the shop, about 5 minutes away. As a kid, growing up, hearing about Bill, I always heard he was the best man at bagging trucks. I mean, I used to come with my friends, check out the shop. I would come out by all the time. Then years passed, and never in my life did I think I would ever be here working for Bill. One of my favorite builds that were done here at the shop was Marco's red Z01 Camaro, because it was aluminum chassis, and man, I got to take the whole thing out. It took me hours, but it was done right. When I see like a build that I worked on the road, I always tell my wife, hey look, I welded that part on it, I welded this on it, I welded the gas tank on it. It never gets old, man. I love it. I just love welding.
Man, that place always hits the spot, man. I'm so full, I don't even want to go back to work. I don't know what you're about to do.
I'll get back there eventually.
It's always good to finish a project up, especially when one's been lingering around the shop for so long. And what really tops it off is finishing the build for a good friend of yours.
Got to get over here and work on some of this stuff you got sitting around the parking lot.
Right? We got to get this parking lot cleared out. That's always a struggle.
For 30 years, I've been going over here to the parking lot and never been cleared out.
Right? I got some work I want you to check out real quick. I want your opinion on something.
You want me to give you my opinion?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see what you got. Oh.
I want you to check this out.
All right. Well, let me see what you got. That's mine? Oh, wow.
Been a minute, huh?
Been a while. Man, this is awesome.
Last time you seen this truck, it was just basically a rolling chassis and a body on it.
Yeah.
It's 100% now.
Well, unibody, that was the whole reason I liked the truck. I knew that this is what it would turn out like.
With the cab and bed welded together, that really makes this truck look super smooth. It just adds to the whole custom look of this thing. People just going to look at it and go, man, that's a cool looking truck. It took to make that.
Oh, yeah, they'll know. And it's something different that you just don't see out there.
From where it was to what it is now, man, it's night and day. From the roll pan, to the 68 front end, to the nice smooth hood, no wipers, no cowl vents. That's all in shape. To the front glass, all flush, man. Carmen hooked us up with the A&N hot rod glass, makes us a nice windshield, nice back glass with no rubber. So it makes this whole thing look modern. And then down to the bed cover me and Rudy built for you. It's just something you don't see on these trucks, and it just finishes the whole thing off and just makes the unibody part look super smooth.
I mean, the way this thing sits on the ground, that's phenomenal.
That just doesn't happen with the air suspension. It has to be a chassis specially made, to make a vehicle go this low. Added these brand new wheels and tires, 24x8s in the front, 24x14s in the rear, with huge brakes on this thing.
Man, the chrome polished 24-inch wheels, the way it sets off the truck, man, it all goes together so good.
And white, white is super hard to pull off. My boy Zane stepped in. He told me if I ever need anything, give him a call. That's exactly what I did. And you see, Zane got down on it.
Did an awesome job.
Right? It's not only just white, but it's got metallic and a pearl in this, so it really stands out.
You can actually see the metallic in the light. See the shine on it.
Check this out.
Oh, yeah. That's nice.
Right?
I like that.
Once we got it back from Zane, blew everything apart and just started by powder coating all the suspension, all the frame, all the components to go with that. It's a chrome powder coat with transparent red over it, so it really gives it that anodized look. Yeah. And when the sun hits it, man, it just kind of blinds you.
This thing's definitely a show truck now.
And it's a late model 5.3 LT, so it's got plenty of power in here too. Man, let's check out the interior on this thing.
That's nice.
Right?
Man, so clean.
John and Heath really got down on this from top to bottom, from the new headliner to the carpet, the custom-made door panels. There's subs in the back, the kick panels. This thing gets down to, the seats, the console, the all-metal 56 Chevy dash. It's got the Dakota digital gauges. So when you start this thing, everything lights up. It looks like a brand new late model car.
It don't even look like a dash. It looks like a spaceship. Well, the guys did an awesome job. They did great.
Sean, just another example of my team coming together,
creating something.
The first vehicle you built for me, and it won't be the last.
Man,
thank you.
After years of just being passed around, moved from bay to bay to bay, stuff piled on it, finally unpiling everything off the top, getting back to work and finally finishing this thing up, it really feels good. Rudy! Need your help again, buddy? We need some hangers for the International over there, so I need something, pretty beefy. One of the things we're learning on this 1996 International is how many extra steps it takes to even start working on a truck this size. This would be the whole mounting point for the whole rear suspension. Once this is made, we get it bolted on, everything will come off of that. It's heavy enough, huh?
All boxed in, all the way around.
5/16 plate, this is plenty of strong. This heavy of a truck, it gets stuck in the mud, a little bit of wheel hop, these things aren't gonna go anywhere. Let's see if this bolts up. Man, them things look good. That is exactly what we need to hold all this weight. This is what makes me excited. Taking on the unknown and flexing our creative muscles. To do something.
A little bit of powder coat on these things would be right.
We got the hangers done. Let's get the tabs on the rear end. And then we can start building a 4-link. We'll build bag mounts, shock mounts. Then we're